time management is a concept that started out in philosophy. The ancient philosophers were obsessed with this one very important question. How can we use our time in a way that makes our lives meaningful? How precious is time exactly? Every time I hear time is money, it reminds me of this conversation I had over coffee with this acquaintance of mine. He said, it's just that I hate wasting my time. It makes me so angry. I make $160 an hour. Whenever I'm spending time with my own kids, it makes me so angry because I'm spending time with them, but every hour I spend with my kids, I'm not making $160. Experiments show that whenever people start to think of time as money, they become more agitated, less happy, always in a rush, and importantly, they get greedy. They become less likely to help people out, to volunteer, or to think about the environment. Because nothing else matters when you're making $160 an hour. Roman philosopher Seneca said that if we think of time as money, we're actually valuing our time very cheaply, because we think we're going to live forever. The moment you realize and fully realize that you're going to die, $60 an hour won't mean much. Time is not money anymore. Thinking about death is not exactly cheerful, maybe, but it's very helpful. Your great-grandparents, those guys had no time at all. They had to work 12 hours a day every single day. People didn't have washing machines, so they had to wash everything by hand. They didn't have frozen meals, so they had to cook everything from scratch. Our great-grandparents did not complain about not having time. We do, because we have more freedom to choose our time options as we please. Philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre said that we have this tendency to trick ourselves into thinking we're not free. Because being free to use your time as you please means that you have to make a choice and live with the consequences of that choice. What if we made the wrong choices? What if we're missing out? It's this constant fear of missing out. We can't have it all. When it comes to time, we can either make sacrifices or make excuses, but only one of them will allow you to live meaningfully. We live in an era of unprecedented flexibility, where we can actually afford to work less and do more meaningful things with our time, so why don't we? But this wouldn't be the case if we thought about time management the way philosophers do, by asking questions. Next time you tell a friend you don't have time to hang out, ask yourself if you actually have better things to do, or if you're just making excuses.
Let me give you a little secret. Getting things done is not about getting things done. It's really about being appropriately engaged with what's going on. Why does a crisis get us there? Because it forces us to do those behaviors that get us there. Just notice what's on your mind. Any of you have anything on your mind, aside from listening to me? Any of you have any strategic and important stuff on your mind? Interestingly, the more it's on your mind, the more it's not happening. The more you are inappropriately engaged with it. Why? It's not on cruise control. It's only on your mind because there's still some thinking or some decisions about that you haven't made, or you haven't parked the results of that into some trusted systemic process that you trust will be triggered at the right time in the right way. You actually don't have to finish those things, folks, to be appropriately engaged and get them off your mind. But there are very specific things that you do need to do about that. The big paradox is that all the complexities and all the stuff of your life, in order to manage that, you just need 3 core principles that you understand and apply. If you want to learn how to maximally produce power with a karate punch, you're going to have to spend hundreds of hours doing something that feels very awkward and very unnatural as a movement. Some of the things I'll be recommending will be just like that. For instance, don't keep anything in your head the rest of your life. That's going to feel unnatural, awkward, and unnecessary. The problem is when you're not in crisis, there's a more subliminal crisis that happens. Why? The whole world now is allowed into your psyche. You now get to experience all the stuff you would, should, need, might, ought to. All the stuff piling up in your inbox and emails while I'm speaking right now, all of that now floods into your psyche. And that can easily create a sense of overwhelm. Every single thing seems to demand equal kind of attention. Then you usually respond to that by either numbing out or getting into crazy busy. And then you blame that stress on the lack of time. You know what you'd do with 2 more hours? You'd have 2 more hours of overwhelm and stickiness. You need space to think. Believe me, every executive I coach, once I put those words on it, they go, yes, I need room to think. I need space to be able to be creative, be innovative, all that stuff I'm being tasked to do, to be a leader, all that stuff. I just need room. If your email is backed up on you with 1,000 unprocessed emails and you got 3,000 other things going on in your head, you have no space to take advantage of discretionary time that may show up in terms of being creative, in terms of your energy. The results of that, I use a martial arts term, is mind like water. A body of water responds to physical forces around it totally appropriate. It doesn't overreact, doesn't underreact. You throw in a pebble, it does pebble. Back to calm and balanced again. You throw in a boulder, what does it do? It does boulderness. Lesson number one is, hey folks, flexibility. Life is not static, folks. There is no perfection here. If there is, it means I've now married myself and matched myself to the dynamics of life and its activity. The second lesson I've learned is I need the ability to be able to shift my focus rapidly, in, out, up, down, quickly. In very few minutes, I might deal with a family issue and then take out the garbage and then be dealing with a business negotiation and not take one to the next, but be fully available for each thing, give it its appropriate due. Most people are taking one meeting to the next. Most people are taking home and work to home. That's not mind like water. Here's what you're really after. You want the ability to be able to put your focus exactly where you need it in the way you need it and not use your mind to be trying to accumulate stuff and avoid it. Big key. Folks, if you don't give appropriate attention to what has your attention, it'll start to take more of your attention than it deserves. So the weird, strange thing here is you actually have to use your mind to get stuff off your mind. So you have to apply a process to be able to get this stuff out of there. It won't happen by itself. How do you do that? Key number one, get it out of your head. Simple, but boy, is that a big habit for most adults to change. Anything and everything that's potentially meaningful, write it down. Stage two, which is necessary because once you do stage one, you'll still see a bunch of stuff on that list that still need more thinking. What you see on to-do lists are things like budget, mom, dog, babysitter. You go, right, but what exactly is the work you need to do? You need to make some really specific decisions about what does the work involve. And there's two key questions you need to ask about everything on your list. What outcome am I committed to finish so that you can define that target out there? What's the project about the budget, about the dog, about the babysitter, and identify those. And then you need to ask yourself, what's the very next action step that I need to take to move forward on that if I were going to move on it? Outcome and action, zeros and ones of productive behavior. What are we trying to accomplish? How do we allocate resources to make it happen? Make these decisions. What's the project? Write it down. What's the action step? Write it down. You will feel exponentially more appropriately engaged with your world. Never seen an exception to that. Then, of course, that's going to feel great, but then you're going to be up against another wall because you're going to look at all that. By the way, most of you have between 30 and 100 projects right now, and most of you have between 150 and 220 next actions right now. So what you're going to need are maps. You need the appropriate maps of all the projects. You need the maps of all the actions you have. And there are other maps you probably need to have. What's my job? Key areas of focus and accountability. What are the things in my personal life I need to watch and manage and take care of on a regular basis?
How is it that we know more about time management today, and yet stress is at an all-time high? The reason why is because everything you know about time management is wrong. Today, time management is no longer just logical. Today, time management is emotional. And how our feelings of guilt and fear and worry and anxiety and frustration, those things dictate how we choose to spend our time as much as anything that's in our calendar or on our to-do list. So there is no such thing as time management. Really, there is only self-management. We say, get your priorities in order. Or it's just, you don't have the right priorities. Unfortunately, maybe that's not really the case. There's nothing about prioritizing that creates more time. Multipliers instead ask the question, what can I do today that would make tomorrow better? What can I do right now that would make the future better? There's nothing that any of us can do to create more time in one day, but that's exactly the problem. That type of thinking is the problem. What we have to do is break out of that paradigm and instead think about tomorrow. And that brings us to the premise for how you multiply time. You multiply your time by giving yourself the emotional permission to spend time on things today that give you more time tomorrow. Next generation time management has much more to do with what you don't do than what you do. We struggle with guilt and we struggle with wanting to say no, but really feeling like we have to say yes. What you have to realize is that you are always saying no to something. Because anytime you say yes to one thing, you are simultaneously saying no to an infinite number of others. If you can't eliminate the task, the next question is, can I automate the task? Anything that I create a process for today saves me time tomorrow. It's like setting up online bill pay. I never have 2 hours in my day to set up online bill pay. I just don't have time. And if I had 2 hours in my day, I would never use it to set up online bill pay. But a multiplier realizes that if I save 30 minutes a month from paying my bills by setting up online bill pay, then it makes sense to invest those 2 hours, because then after just 4 months' time, I will have broken even on that investment. And every month thereafter, I will get something we call ROTI, return on time invested. If it can't be automated, then the next question is, can it be delegated? Can I teach someone else how to do this? If you think longer term, you realize they'll be able to master the task just like you were. Waiting to do something that we know we should do but we don't feel like doing, that's procrastination. That's the killer of all success. But waiting to do something because we're deciding intentionally that now's not the right time, that isn't procrastination. That isn't the killer of success. That's a virtue. And it's an art form that the world really needs, which is patience. The patience to put off the insignificant things, like checking email 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You multiply your time by giving yourself the emotional permission to spend time on things today that create more time tomorrow.
I'm pretty sure all of you have read those self-help books. Wake up at 5 o'clock, leave your mobile phones, turn off all the notification. How is it that working for you? I'm pretty sure not great. Step 0 is make sure you understand that you cannot manage time. Maybe you have a plan today that I'll go for a run or workout, but time is not going to allow you. It always runs against you. Life is predictably unpredictable. Make sure you always understand that. It works with a simple step: manage people. I cannot manage time, so I'm going to manage people. How do I manage people? There are 2 types of people. The first one is who need your time, and the second one who wants your time. Always the bubble of people who want your time is way bigger than the people who need your time. So the first thing you have to manage is people who need your time. Your parents, your loved ones, they need your time. It's not easy to manage people. And that's why I always give that understand people. Step number 2, social media. How many of you have tried to detox yourself from the social media? I have tried. A lot of have tried. Does it work? Not at all. If you cannot avoid it, master it. Rule it. Follow those people who make you inspired to do more. Step number 3, underestimate your time. A lot of people overestimate their time. Step number 4, reward yourself. You need to plan your reward in which your phone, your work, is actually a part of it. If you train your brain like that, I'm going for a vacation, but maybe 1 hour I need to dedicate to my emails, maybe 1 hour I'll need to check up on Instagram, then your reward actually becomes a reward. Without reward, no human works. A lot of people misunderstand what is time management. They want to do 1,000 different things. You don't do 1,000 things. You take 1 step at a time. You do 1 thing today right, that's it. Time management is not about doing 100 things. It's about just doing a very few things, but consistently.